Summary: an entangled love story between Graham and a zombie woman. As we search for the cure, the plot goes from Connecticut mansions, taken by nature, to a regrowing Brazil taken by factions, wars, and a new uprising dictator during post-apocalyptic times. While some people fly to other planets saying there's no cure for Earth, we control a man who is left behind because of a mistake and must survive with the present and his past. The last of ourselves. I saw her standing there as I moved between the shadows in one of the darkest places on Earth. Her was a zombie, or was infected with some kind of virus that would forever change my life. I had a crush on her. I've always had a crush on her, but she was always trying to vanish me from this reality. So, you see, when I was on the Earth, the real Earth, call it that way, me and she were always being friends and doing friendly stuff. But the first time I saw her, I knew it was the last time of my life. I don't know, but our lives were interconnected by some mystical and imaginary strings that could never be broken. That day of July 9, 2007, in dance class, our first class by the way, she was new in school or something because I never saw her back and I knew everybody back then. So she was there standing and I thought that I would never see her back. Whatever, because the next day she was there and the next day too, and we were always together. I was so shy to ask her why, but in one class she and I had an activity together. We were bored, but we did it. Not at all. The activity was to ask your classmate about her life and talk, lol. But it's true, man. So there was a question that was about writing, what's your partner's dad's name? There was when I knew I fucked up, not as ill as knowing the whole truth. She told me to avoid that question, but at the end she told me to stop with her head. She had no dad. So I just wanted to tell her that I understood, but the ring sounded and time broke apart. Everyone was off class, going to their nice houses. I was young and lived far away, so I had to wait for my parents to take me to my old country house, while she just went off to her house nearby, the hoods of NYC. POV changes to orphan mansion, living room. G and D sitting in the couch as camera expand from G's eye. So yeah, that was the day I first met her, and let me tell you about that second day. Camera stops, sounds from the hall cracked ringing in my ear. I stood up. POV changes to Daniel. Oh, what the, G said. G goes to the hall. Daniel following a zombie was there standing. G just grabbed a crossbar from the floor and pungled it on the zombie's forehead as the zombie fell lifeless. I'm Graham, by the way, and what about you? POV changed to Daniel. Daniel unplugged the crowbar. They both walk back to the living room. The mocking face gestures. Graham said, man of a few words. No matter, so just grab whatever you need, we're leaving tomorrow. Sir Pearls, D what? I thought we were staying. Graham quoted, sorry to tell the tale, but reality is real and those men are going to be coming back to us anytime soon. Comprehensive face D, I'm not worried about them, I just wanted to relax for a second. The tenacious face Graham, we cannot relax just yet. The plan is that you and I are going to that NYC airport by whatever means possible. Why? If the outlaws are just everywhere? Graham, that's why. Once we get with the D class, nobody will suspect. There are no outlaws in Canada, so we're gonna make it. The real deal, friend G pats D in the back. How can you say so? Look, I don't have a good past. Both stop walking at the beginning of the stairs. Graham said, look friend, neither do I. Someone knocked on the main door as suspensive camera view canned away from their position, along mystery music kicking in. Stealth mode reaching for the armory. Graham said, it's time to show off the shotguns. D wait. G stood still. Daniel climbed the stairs to reach greenhouse and looked up. Scream and stop. He's here, both go open the door. Graham wait, who is here? Daniel opened the door and a big tall African-American man with a lot of energy showed up. "Hi, how's everything doing, fellas?" he said. Graham said, "Welcome to the jungle, Yusuf. Finally, you made it back." Yusuf said, "I got the ticket to heaven, man." Yusuf enters the house. Y quoted, "I just know the road away from this place out of the civilization." Gone living room. Graham, just sit down on the couch, relax. We'll bring anything you want, just rest, because tomorrow is a big day. Daniel, do you like fried chicken? Yusuf said, "It's my favorite," lying on the couch. After a couple of minutes, we were all finished eating and Yusuf just laid back on the couch. They put a map on the table. Yusuf said, "So, there's a new pathway, free of outlaws. I found it right here." Graham said, "How do you say so?" Yusuf said, "I've been exploring the scouting team. They'll be exploring over this zone near here," he said, pointing at the river near a map. "And if my math is correct, they'll be long gone by 6 a.m. right on this outpost." Graham, "That's our ticket. Now how can we repay you, my man?" Yusuf said, "Just old friend stuff." Graham said, "Tie, my friend." Yusuf said, lying on the couch, "Just tell me in which year we are when I fall back awake." The next morning, at 4 a.m. in the morning, we woke up and realized it was a little late for our endivars. Graham said, touching Yusuf in the arm, "Hold back. So just for your info, it's November 12, 2019, and I'm 25 years old or so, I think." Yusuf, "Shut up. We'll have to eat right there at the location, so bring anything you want alongside, possibly everything, because you'll never see these places ever again." Daniel said, "My lucky day." Yusuf said, "Common." We walked in the forests and buildings taken by nature. We walked among the darkest places, shrugged with alteration and phobia of dying in there, but we just kept silently walking up until Graham said, "So Daniel, here's the second day we met." I was in there, and we and my friends, girls and boys, just sat there in recess, and I loved her so much. Yusuf said, "Hey, what you talking about?" Graham said, "Nothing, just a little tale from my own to deliver it right into your heart." Yusuf, "You must be a writer when you were in the old earth, eh?" Daniel, "Just keep going, keep popping." So when my friend told a joke, she laughed like, "I'll never be so happy so much in my whole life. I'll probably ever love her." I was shy, but I was still like you, keeping up the joke but stepping aside our minds. So my friend told an inappropriate joke and inappropriate questions that still ring my ear up to this day, and she was still serious, so I just kept going as serious as her. When the ring kept ringing, I just went to wait for my parents to catch my back. So she was just talking nearby and went nearby with a friend up until I went to my parents' home, but I noticed strange activity. She was holding hands with a dude, and that was the last time I was in my mindland with her. Since then, I have just hated her, but I love her at the same time. Later that day, Yusuf said, Hey, watch up, here are the outlaws coming nearby." Graham, "What the hell? This is not supposed according to the plan." Daniel, "I told you to stay still." Yusuf, "Shut up everyone, I was but, look, and I just, screw the plan." The outlaws walked nearby and killed every single thing that moved, first a fox, second a beaver. I couldn't just stop counting and counting them, and I don't think they got a heart yet, but I'll keep quiet. When they put a man on the floor, a blonde Caucasian 6 feet 11 inches man, Yusuf just put down his face thinking about his death. Outlaw boss, what in the earth? The flight 11-9 just might keep some distance from you. He laughed with other like 70 men armed with AKs. Yusuf just put all of his weapons on him. Daniel, what you doing? Yusuf said, almost screaming, put all of your weapons on. We'll fight today or we'll die today. Music Hanekazilla plus my heart a fight scene. Yusuf just shot like 70 men with his gun on top, people screamed and cried, and we just kept shooting every male with a white cap, every outlaw. Graham, why? Yusuf just got shot in the neck. Daniel grabbed him, Graham covered them up. We ran. Seriously, 1 hour and 11 minutes later, far away in the distance, Yusuf wanted to go back and fight. Yusuf, you ass faces, I'll fight until I give my last breath of air. Graham said, please quiet and relax, everything is gonna be fine, just keep on going hard. Yusuf, you don't understand, you see, he's my brother Bill. He's a Hesham from blood. Relax, we'll go back, we gotta keep on high ground, Daniel said. Yusuf, you don't know what he means to me. Graham said, you know I love her so much, not even fire of desert, no even ice from the glue would keep me out from my wife. Daniel, just patch me up and him too. Graham just tried banding his brothers, and just as his face went back onto ceiling, the outlaw grabbed him and put a 9mm suppressed gun pointing at his head. Gee. Shut up or I'll make it even worse, the outlaw said. Outlaws surrounded us. Graham, just let them in peace, we're hurt and scared from all of your dominion. How do you know me so well, Graham? The outlaw said. Graham, Sergey, let us in peace, and later you'll have the whole world at your feet, we'll be your slaves if you let us live. Like 25.5 men just came around and waved all of their guns, AK, submachines and everything. POV to Sergey, not showing our heroes. Sergey, kill this man, and let this two live, carry them to the camp, say they're dead or soon they'll be. Yusuf, we were set up. Music, oh, the set up nations. 8 men came up and fired at Yusuf in the stomach, chest and head, blood flooded as we creeped. The outlaws put Daniel and Graham in a car, they drove for like it felt like 1 million hours. When we arrived hungry and worried, the outlaws led us to the main camp. There were snipers and guard outposts everywhere, and a big wide door that was opening in front of us. In the car, a Bobcat, main camp inspired by God the 100 season whatever. We're the winners, yeah, an outlaw said, and the other encouraged him. The guard came and watched us really tight. As we were passing, another outlaw told the guard that we were dead. They put us in a cell chained to the walls. We waited and waited. Cell inspi the 100. Sergey, the leader of the American outlaws, came there. Sergey, I hope you're having so much fun, fellas. Daniel whispered, not quite. Sergey, now, how do you want to die? He asked as other outlaws brought on a table that had a gun, a knife, and a baseball bat covered in blood. Graham, we want to live. Sergey, since you got it that way, then kill him with the bat or I'll do it myself, he said, aiming at Daniel's head with his suppressed 9mm. Graham, no please, he's like a brother to me. Sergey, I'm not kidding. 3, 2, 1. Graham put his foot on Sergey's face, kicking him like 3 meters away. He fainted, and the outlaws aimed with their AKs. Sergey, I gave you a choice, now you'll both die, he aimed at Daniel. When an outlaw shot Sergey on the ear with an AK and shot every other outlaw he knew. Sergey went and ran away pressing his ear, while that one outlaw shot and shot. More outlaws came rapidly as he unchained Daniel and Graham. I'm Bill and they'll pay for what they did to my brother, Bill said. Graham, we'll cover up back in the alleyway, and we'll hopefully escape through a window I saw earlier. We shot our way back to the alleyway and broke into the apartment building nearby. We ran upstairs and people looked at us so frightened. We busted open a door and went in, with a granny. Graham opened the window open, and it was a 2-story building fall. It would either have a fracture or die. Like 1 million men came to the alleyway and surrounded the building from the inside. We three jumped and fell with pain, running through the bullets up, until the forest from the open was like an eternity. We ran with all our might, avoiding shots from the snipers, and from a minivan with 4 persons. 3-person shoot-in with submachine guns. There were too many and the minivan was almost near us. So Bill did it. He put a front and stopped short. He shot everyone on the van up until he had no ammunition left. We made it to the forest, but when Bill was done shooting, he ran back as fast as he could, being shot from everywhere. Bill was almost there when he was shot in the chest. He tried to run back but got shot in the head. We ran and ran, avoiding our old house in the forest. But what? At the end we had no option but to go on down south through the class territory. At least I knew a way down there. It turned dark, we couldn't make it, just halfway. We had to camp in the classed forest near the frontier. It was a sight full of tension between both groups. I kept the guard half the night and the other half Daniel was on. In the morning we had to cross the last part of this forest to reach human civilization, or what was left from it. Out in the open, we walked rivers, mountains, people's farms, and dangerous places. After a couple of minutes that turned into hours of just walking, I finally put down the word. Graham Soma girl and I weren't in such a strong relationship. We had to, but I didn't want to go through a pandemic and it was in the beginning of everything. I still hated her for what she had done to me, but she never was online. I swear never saw her. Time passed by, and I couldn't help but laugh at how she was still in my heart, up until that last day, the last day I saw her, the day we'd know everything. Daniel, hey watch it out, finally reached that little town. We reached a collapsed port town near the coast of Connecticut and none was nearby, just as alone as always. We continued the plan B when a man saw us. John based orphan, girl based Esther orphan. Give me all you have got, the man said, pointing out a gun at us. We had no option but to let the man have everything. Give me all of your clothes too, the man said. Daniel, really, I'm not going to be here on the nude. No way out, face Graham, just do as he said. They ended up naked and with no weapons. Daniel, excuse me, can you kill us too? Daniel proceeds to remove underwear. Okay lol, you can have the underwear just yet, the man said, picking up the clothes. Daniel took the man and put a knife on his throat, making him know that he was going to die. Stop please, the man said. Graham, enough, Daniel DY? POV to girl, when a 9-year-old girl appeared out of nowhere holding an AK. She shot to the sky. Graham, common, Daniel, run. We ran naked as the girl aimed, but no shots were heard. We ended up hiding near a pier and looking for boats that could possibly work. Pier inspire. It turned on dark and rain started to pour up. We were freezing to death. Graham, common, Daniel, let's go inside a house and loot something up. Daniel, the plan said that this is the order in which things are supposed to be made. Daniel, pointing up a paper. Graham, ignore it, common. G, scrap the paper. Daniel, starting from scratch. Graham, it's better than dead. We later arrived at an apartment complex with no signs of zombies. We continued and finally found a room that was barricaded. Probably none has been here yet. We busted the door out, went inside and found some girls' dresses. Daniel, I'm not crazy, I'm not gonna wear that. Graham, common, nobody's gonna laugh at the end of the world. We put our dresses on and sat on the couch while the rain stormed. Graham said, so the last time I saw her was when we were school-free forever. The graduation ceremony took place someday in winter 2007, and her just touched my hand without wanting it, when we were there, waiting in line. That was the most wholesome, beautiful, and extraordinary sensation, and I was peacefully falling away. But later we got to the Colosseum and sang and sat and did boring stuff. I was in front and she was on the back. When it was finally time to go home, I handed my cap to her and went to the dirty streets. I waited for my parents as she was going away in slow motion with that freaking boyfriend of hers. She was looking so good and I love her still. But in the end, everything collapsed as I'd never seen her up until today. If I can just catch her and get some info from people at that school. I want to go to Canada, but before, I just want to know where she is and if she is even alive. I need to get some freaking info. Daniel, it's okay, just take your time. I even can just go with you or something. Graham, thanks, but no, it's so much risk for you and we're 2 weeks from that flight. I must do it on my own. And by the way, you don't have anything. And by the way, if we don't even find a way, we're just gonna be dead. Daniel, I think it's wrong. It's just 2 a.m. and we have to be here anyway and find food and toilet paper and stuff. Graham quoted, "Toilet paper is the last thing I'm worried about." Daniel, please don't talk about it. 3 hours later, Daniel had the brilliant idea of just exploring the house and the apartment complex and stuff to get supplies. Daniel, I'm gonna go and explore, you just hang in there. Graham, we must go and go on with company. We went to the darkest places and lighter places, but nothing, just dark sighing. Graham saw through the window a light turned on in an apartment. Graham, common, there are zombies in the dark. Look, we can just go and peek if there's something on that lighting site. Daniel, hurry up. We went and walked towards that apartment lighting and stuff, and we found signs of life. Henny, hey! Someone in there? Graham, you crazy, what if they're the outlaws? We walked in the apartment and started going up the stairs, until we got to a small sniper's room. There was nobody. Who are the outlaws? Said the same man that got them naked in the first place. He was aiming a 9mm. Graham, the hell they are, but we just want peace across the world. Please don't kill us all. Yeah, because we're all already dead, the man said. Then the girl with the AK-47 came up. Daniel got so scared to death. Daniel, don't kill us, please. You were going to kill our father, and that cannot be respected, the girl said. It's all right, said the man, these seem like Himalayans seeking out for cheese. Ha ha ha, look at the dresses, the girl laughed. Okay, we've got no option, at least tell us you did something good with our clothing, Graham said. We burned it to the ground, the man said. Daniel. That's how we got this campfire, the man said. Graham, have you seen any survivors around? Any other Class D? No, we're all Class D, aren't you? The man said. I am. It's just a very large and complex story for another time, Graham said. Tell me you used to be Class A, the girl said, laughing. I used to, but now I have nothing but a clown to make me company. Hey, Daniel said. Whatever happened to you and all, but can you please search for another building to own? This is ours, said the man. They're all occupied and dangerous with zombies. At least gave me my crossbar back, Graham said. Take it, the man threw it to the ground. You're so lucky you're even alive. Graham, thanks, he said while he was picking it up, low under his face. We left. I was John, by the way, the man said. We went fighting and looking for supplies, building after building, until we found nothing. We went to sleep in a safe place at 9 a.m. and woke up right after at 1:00 p.m. Up untold, and behold the story to Daniel, and he told me that he spotted a nice yacht coming and parking in the river. But this unfolds. If I told my story of life and all the things on it, it would take me a year non-stop, brother. We went to the yacht, hungry, tired, and depressed. until a man spotted us. We're the National Guard Army, and we're so pleased on helping you, poor class persons, because the government pays us. So come in and hop on a yacht full of immigrants. We hoped on the yacht full of immigrants. Graham, where are we going? There's a safe place in the Russian mainland, and we're hoping down there in Moscow to later drive you to the safe land, said the agent in a thick Russian accent. Russia doesn't have any more outlaws than America, ain't we? Graham, could it be please then you leave us in NYC, we got something to deal with? If we want to kill ourselves in there, that's okay sirs, the agent said. After 1 hour or so, the people on board were showing their passports. Graham, now what? I'm dead, not even the rebellion will believe what I can tell. Daniel, it's okay, they'll understand. Graham, unless they kill me. Daniel showed his passport Class D, but Graham told the other agent that he had to talk to the captain of the ship. American agent, are you crazy? Not even the best allies of the World Coalition can afford to talk to him. Graham, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die proud. Graham showed his passport class of VIP, sir. Sir Prost agent, WTF? Okay, sure you are going to the commander, but yeah, Graham, if he comes to Agent Ock, I'm gonna talk to the commander to let you in. Later, we were checked and our weapons were commissioned for self-safety purposes. We went in and the commander pleaded to let us alone. Commander's room, full of guns. Commander holding a AK. Let us alone cuz if they try to kill me I have 1 million guns. So I saw your passport and it's unbelievable, Commander said. Not even the president got one, but I bet you're very, very crazy to unappit it. So tell me, how did this happen? Graham, it all began the summer of September 5, 1991, when a little baby was born. Later it turned out to be me, so my parents decided to pick me a name, and they chose Daniel Ock. Just skip the details. Graham Ock. It was March 7, 2009, in a gloomy day, and people were deciding how the people were leaving the dead planet Earth. They made a contest to just the most intelligent, skilled, and beautiful persons in the world to be their honor, to be the last persons of humanity or remnants of it. I was just checked in, I couldn't believe it, I was so happy. After Mom and Dad died I couldn't have asked more for redemption. I boarded the rocket ready to go to space, but at the last minute I just thought that I could be here and just ran and ran and ran and never stopped running. My life's destiny wasn't to be a fat man on Mars, it was to find the love of my life on a planet we couldn't exist, Graham quoted. Okay, so later, I met a man around the block and his name was Daniel. I asked him for help, and if I could go back to Connecticut. I was just there standing in LA alone. He helped me plan the escape and planned to ride on the top of the trains to finally get inside the cargo place. I told him that I wanted to meet my future wife, and somehow I knew she was alive. She lived in NYC the last time I met her, and I was going to my old school to recover all the info about her. He joined me, but we needed more supplies, ammunition. Where Daniel grew up in class, he didn't have so much to help, but he helped with his heart. It's all that mattered back then. Graham quoted, I have my old parents' house that I promised myself to never visit after their death. It was ruined and devastated. But we had a nice jewelry spot because we were near NYC, and later we'd take back the info by any means necessary. We went on the train to my old house on Connecticut. Fixed the house and gathered materials escaping from the outlaws. People helped us, and we helped them. We got good friends, and we lost good friends, but later I saw back and I greatly appreciated that I never really went to freeze my ass on space, Graham quoted. Now I'm here, we lost everything, and we're making the move even if that means everything. Commander, I more than alluded to that you make me cry. Do you have a tissue? And of course you can be on here, but The phone rings, Commander answered, and he listened. After the call, Commander, plans have changed. There's up to too much people in here, and my daughter just got a cuff. You know, if you were lucky yesterday, you will be lucky today. Now go off of the boat, and to her luck again. Graham, but we just have 2 weeks to catch the plane. Commander, too many people don't have a plane. Daniel, it's not ours, shitty man. Commander, go out. Gee, let's go. The yacht went away. So, we were off to die in one of the most dangerous places on America, but we saw John and his daughter nearby in the shadows. Graham, hi, John, how are you doing? John, not much, fine. We were excluded and all because I was an inmate back in 1996. Graham, sorry, but this is how the world works. John, and it's fuck. D couldn't agree more to that. We went to the city at 7 p.m., and the zombies started to creep. John was shooting a couple of zombies, but what he did was just to gather the whole horde. Daniel, don't you know about making noises? John, sorry, take your gun back. If you need help, come back to my house. I'm just gonna run and cut. We were running and splashing through the ponds, escaping from the Grand Terror. I never used my pistol, I used the crossbar and a bat we found. I gave it to Daniel. Daniel, let's hide on that tether. Graham, good idea, let's go. Tether based, The Last of Us 2. We ran and backed and barricaded and helped moving stuff. We got lucky the power was on, and inside the theater we planned our next move. We found a map on an old office and marked places to gather resources, and this was it. Graham, so this day, we keep here in this town class looking resources tomorrow as well, but 1 week after he'll have to go down here and cross this suburban area to reach Samford, Greenwich, the White Plains, and later we're in the city, so it's just a matter of time how we get to Brownsville, my old hood. Daniel, so in this port there's an armory. Maybe we can get through it and get some guns and start busting some asses. Graham, maybe. Now let's work, gentlemen. We spent the night there. The next day Daniel hunted while I marked the spots I saw on the map. Successful day, 3 bunnies and 6 bugs. But whatever, it has flesh you can eat. The days walked by, and finally on the 3rd day, there we saw a building we climbed, and we got the man's clothes. No more dresses, no more. Daniel was kinda happy. On the 4th day, we talked to some individuals about the zone. The Class D survivors did kill us all, at all. We kept going and getting strong until the 7th day, we finally went to the armory to get our guns. The day started as usual. We had breakfast talking about my future wife and walking to the street, and we found John and his daughter. Graham, how you've been doing? John, very well. Esther and I were able to get some fabric of food and kitchen utensils, so we'll be starving less, enjoying more. Where do you go? Graham, we're going to the armory and get some firepower to finally make it tonight. John, good luck. The last person I heard saying that never returned, seriously. Daniel, we'll make it, but thanks for your advice. We walked and crossed rivers, made camp and walked for a long time. We finally reached the fort. It was too old to get a look at from the outside, but it was going to be fine. The fort based, The Last of Us. We busted from the fire exit, and we went through a window and went in. There were a lot of zombies, we spent a lot of ammunition, but we were going to recover it very soon. 3 hours and 6 minutes later, after bursting and stepping on skulls, we finally found the jackpot. It was jammed, but we opened with a few Indian techniques. We were loaded, there were machine guns, axe, 9mm, rocket launchers, and everything a person could wish for the end of the world. We came back through the windows and walked along the fire exit. Graham, you know what, my future wife is going to be very lucky to have us by her side. She'll never have to worry, as her worries are help. Daniel, We'll be covering every woman and orphan that has to need the help from us, and they'll be lucky. Daniel was to the ground, shot by a single sniper. I got him covered. I shot the men that showed up by the street. They were the outlaws. I helped him run and we shot up until they got us trapped in a corner of a store. Store-based Tlow. Ammunition was running out and Daniel was getting depressed. We had no more option but to surrender. The Newport outlaws were there and carried us to the port. We didn't have any idea what we were going to do. Later they grabbed my passport classa. Graham, hey, you can have it if you want, but my friend needs freaking help right now, and Sergey came, grabbed my passport and made it to splinters. Gee. No needs help when you need it. Graham, what do you want from me? Just help me. Sergey, you were making a coalition with the Class D to tarnish the outlaws out of our land. Now that we have you, none will have a leader, and you'll eventually die. Graham, I've not been trying to do anything with anyone. Believe please, I just want my wife back. Sergey, what are you doing then? Graham, all we want to do is to follow our way back to NYC, where I can get some info. Sergey, info, a classa, Graham, please Sergey and BT Dai. How are you classa, new president of America? Pause Graham, it's a lie, Sergey, everything is a lie. Outlaw team, what do we do with them, boss? Sergey, just let them go to NYC, they'll never even last a second, no guns, no money, no future. The same thing got me focused on the future. Sergey, now get them in the boat to NYC in the cargo area. I'll go and talk to the coalition, 'cause I'm very busy to kill them just now. Maybe just on the way to NYC I'll throw them to the fishes. He laughed. We were there for hours and hours waiting inside a boat, until it finally moved. It was going to NYC, there was a catch, we were going to die. I didn't have a good past with Sergey. Daniel, can you please tell me what did you do to him, to us, to deserve this? Graham, I did nothing, he did everything. It all began in October 9, 2018. It was a very foggy morning. We were gathering materials to rebuild that house that we'll probably not even see. I went to a factory via the Silk Road to search for some chemicals and Einsteinium, more importantly, Einsteinium. I wanted to try the combustions to make a reaction to finally make our zone as chemically armed as possible. I went to the New Haven lab and stuff. I didn't know how to enter, but I surrounded it. I found the fire exit up there. I did enter, but I just saw the view and there was a new camp foreman just around the corner. I took the chemicals and left. I went to the camp to take a peek. Like 70 men came and surrounded me and told me to drop my bomb, terrorist. They had max, so I put it on the ground, all the chemicals. Sergey's wife came and said that everything was okay. The men took the chemicals and handed them to Sergey's wife. I was at the entrance and wanted to go back home, when the men just came and threw me off. Sergey's wife opened the highly toxic chemicals and tried to find out what was in it. I tried to tell her and screamed, "Do not open that," but none listened to me. She touched the chemical and her hand just got so much red that she started screaming of pain. I ran while some 80 men shot me back. That's how I ended up wounded that day. Daniel, they shot you and all that happened and you lied to me about a fat cat. Graham, the outlaws were more near than I thought. I didn't want to worry you. Since that day I couldn't sleep fine. Daniel, what happened with Sergey's wife? Graham, she lost her hand or something because he's so mad at me. I don't even know. We were on that boat for hours and hours until we watched the glorious and irreparable Lady Liberty cut it in half by striking asteroids. But we then kept going down south, and we screamed that this was the place, but they didn't listen. We ended up in New Jersey, just off the coast of Staten Island's southmost point. We were in the middle of the ocean, but they kept going up until we were in plain sea. I could see the coast of central New Jersey up there. The boat kept even going further even to don't see the coast anymore. Sergei just took us to plain seas and threw us to the sea screaming. Swimmin' base die sa. Sergei die wife killers die. I was so sad for him, but now I know the truth, all of us. The boat kept going and sailing off to open sea and vanished in the Atlantic Ocean. Daniel, so let's follow that boat. Graham, I'm not silly, they just want us to think that that east direction is mainland New Jersey. But New Jersey is over here, just in the opposite western direction. Daniel, so what? Graham, we just have to swim up until mainland. We swam and finally saw a mountain through the dark fog. We reached the mainland and walked for a couple of minutes until we saw a nice country house. Country house based I The Last of Us 2. From scratch again. Daniel, we just have to keep going in this direction, and we'll reach New Jersey's frontier. We spent the night there. The next day we walked through the fog and walked through forests. We went up so many days until we reached that glorious city of South Amboy. That's where we were going to get a boat and cross that little ocean to reach an abandoned train station of Tottenville, Staten Island. We had no more time to be messing with outlaws from anywhere. The next day we saw a port and some nice boats. There were outlaws everywhere. Daniel sacrificed himself to get their attention, leading them to the forest nearby. Musselsea O, the Spectre Den based at Tottenville, Staten Island southmost point. I turned on the boats and grabbed a shotgun. Daniel came back and hopped on my boat as I went and rode through the oceans. Bullets rained everywhere. The outlaws followed us up until we spotted more outlaws near Staten Island. We kept going and ended up on the shore near a train station. We ran through the streets and hid next to a mini forest. Silence, next silence, next silence. We kept quiet until the outlaws ended to behold our increasing surviving skills. That same night I told Daniel in the house. Don't we just settle down here? We scanties. Graham, just imagine a world without virus, what would you do? Daniel, I'd like to be a chef or something like that, you? Graham, I'd like to have had my own business about cooking. I really like chocolate and cookies. Daniel, what about the best chocolate cookies in the world? Graham, yeah, exactly. Daniel, Graham, cookies ENC. Graham, maybe someday, when she is not missing. Sergei himself came and spotted us and started shooting. That was what I believed. He fool shooted. And we believed and ran like crazy. It was this shot after another. We ran up until Manhattan, but Sergei just flowed on water. Chase scene, missing bullets and bullet holes, Musselsea, Electroman Adventures Dark Side. Envy Port. We needed to take Sergei's boat and end this mission. I myself turned to Sergei and pleaded to kill me. Sergei, finally this crap. Sergei punched once and once again and I started laughing. That's why you'll never have a wife, Graham said. She'd ended up in domestic violence. But just when Sergei was about to put his knife to my throat, Daniel shot a single round and didn't fail, straight up headshots everywhere. Sergei was shot to the ground, he hurted his leg. Graham quoted, "Sometimes I got a good feeling. Sometime in this life you'st have to have mercy." I stole his own knife and as POV changed to S. I thrusted it on the ground's grass and tried to leave, but just when I thought I was safe, Sergei pulled a gun out of nowhere and threw it at me. Sergei, you killer, kill me for once but not my wife. Graham, I never killed your wife, she killed on her own by her own fault, and now I pushed Sergei to the river just nearby. Sergei, help, screw you, I cannot swim. Graham, just like you're going to die by your own fault, your legs' fault. Me and Daniel hopped on the boat and went running through the waters. Daniel, finally my man, I cannot believe you just killed him. Graham, the hell of a boss fight, but he brought it upon himself. Daniel, of course, now we just have to go, just out of this port and walk these streets up, until we reach your old schools. Graham, yeah, it's just a matter of time, and yet to know Sophia's destiny. Ben v. Manhattan drowned. After 6 hours and 3 minutes, or more, we finally reached that little port. Time flew by. It was just 3 a.m., and we were just going through there. We hopped out. We started to walk to my old skulls, but all the silence and loneliness just told me son was wrong. Walked one street and another, remembering how few I knew about around my school. Must I still dree Graham, so just to know, I'm a little familiar with these streets. My dad worked around here and my mom worked up west. We lived on a Long Island, just way back there, and studied here just back here. And let me tell you, it felt weird. Daniel, finally, and now what? Are you just gonna break out or something? Graham, yeah, it's our only plan. Daniel, plan A, B, C, all the way to the Z. We reached the school and it was as old as heck. We just needed to rest. My emotions couldn't hold just to go by and enter through a window. It was near a house, and if we could break into it, we'd have a clear view of the schoolyard. We broke into that house, zombies appeared out of nowhere, and I was just as scared as them. There were a lot of supplies, far more than in Connecticut. Daniel just kept pocketing them. And I just wanted to know all about my girl, barely grabbing anything. It was a 2-story fall. I didn't want to hook up, but my instincts couldn't say but how. Daniel, I'll stay up here with the cats, and I think this is your shot. Later come back here. I jumped and it did hurt a little, but I kept going up until I saw the fire exit. I pulled it on and creeped out into the school. There was none and light was not. There was an old candle that I had just for special occasions, so I just put it on, and I walked through the hallways and ran through the classrooms. I finally reached the principal's office when a degrading, "oh" sound came from behind me. I punched the thing. It was a zombie, but the zombie fought back with all his might. My candle just fell and started burning some files. The zombie got me to my neck when an old man stabbed that thing. I fainted. The papers were burning so much that I woke up from the smoke. The old man screamed, but I couldn't hear him more than my thought of never finding her back. Must-see secrets. I was just reaching for the unburned papers for info about 2007 graduations, but all I could see was old papers and incidents from 2005. I saw one file of her. It was no more than a picture. I kept looking up until the door started burning and I was gonna faint again. I kept looking and saw a file from Sophia Solier, and it was the best moment in my life. I was so happy that I cried and cried. And I fainted into an endless void. It was a long faint, and when I woke up, Daniel and the old man were down on the street just watching me as I stood up and saw the unbelievable, my school going up in flames. I cried until I knew. Graham, where is she? Daniel? Graham, where is the paper, old man? I saved you and I didn't think about just taking off a random piece paper from down there, the old man said. No, it was my life's destiny. You don't know. I lost everything but my man. I cannot think, but I don't remember that. What was her address? Graham. Chill, the old man said. Who are you, by the way? Graham said. I'm Peter. I worked here as the janitor up until now, the old man said. Graham, she was Sophia Solier, the most beautiful teen on all the world. Peter, I know her. She used to live at 2nd York Street, 3rd Avenue. Yeah, that was it. Can you say it again, Graham? Peter, excuse me, I forgot. Graham, no, oh. Peter, just kidding. It was 2nd York, 3rd Avenue. Graham, does someone have a paper? Daniel, Yeah, I think. Daniel looked at his pocket, but nothing to be found. I lost it. Peter, don't worry, it's just here around the corner. Graham, so, let's go. We walked through those dark streets of the neighborhood, and it was 12 a.m., and no soul could be found. Peter stopped. Wait a moment, why do you want to go there anyway? Graham quoted, she used to be my friend, but we lived a different life, we got separated from our paths, and I just want to tell her something that I should have probably told her a long way back. I love her, and she is the most beautiful woman on all of human existence, and our lives are destined to be together. Musselsia Warler Spurlt. Peter, that's one of the most beautiful declaration of love I've heard since a couple of years back. But she doesn't live where we're going. Graham, what? She lived her whole life from her infancy, and this way down here, maybe there's a clue down there or something. Peter, oh man, I just found her and waved at her every time I went to work. Until some days I just didn't find her anymore. I went to the house to give her some flowers, but her parents couldn't explain it to me. They took the flowers and said thanks to me. The last time I found her in person, she was in a wheelchair, and she told me how devastated she was to have cancer in the last stages. She told me that she appreciated my work and that she was never going to forget me. She told me she was going back to South America, where she grew up. Graham, where did she go? Peter, she went to Brazil, after a long hug. Since then I'll never see her back. And every day it's a lost day, but I think some other days that maybe she survived somehow and she's happily living in a Brazil reservation place. Graham, OMG, I cannot believe it. All this time I'm here in America and I didn't know a thing about her past. Peter quoted, the past is to learn and to look at our future. Graham, thanks. Daniel, so what now? It's just a day, and we'll have to go to outlaw-free Canada. Graham, I don't know, maybe they'll take us to Brazil or I don't know. Peter, I'll go with you, and we'll search and research all of Brazil if necessary. I don't have long and I'd like to uncover this mystery once and for all. Graham, now how are we going to this airport, JF Kennedy? Daniel, we'll go by boat, and you, Peter, are more than welcome to be on board. Peter, of course, Captain, I've never been in such a pirate adventure. Graham, okay, let's go and find her, maybe this is just where all of this begins. After hours and hours of going on the boat, we reached the airport, which had more than 1,000 men aiming snipers, rocket launchers, AK-47s, 9mm and all. Peter, this place is more secure than the president's butt. They reached the pier, and we were searched and researched and pulled out from our guns. Envy Airport turned out hotel. We walked and reached the D-class hotels, full of D-class people. Attention, attention. When you get to Canada, you'll finally be a B-class. The American government just wants you to live your best lives while we take our country back from the factions. The agent said, sirs, here is the place. He gave the key to Graham, wait and behold while your future goes to Canada, founded by the American government that long lives. We said, American government long lives. We closed the door, took a shower and just enjoyed our lives in that old TV with YouTube. It was so devastating to look back at those old Earth lives, making us miserable but happy. Graham, so when are we going to tell them to just carry us to the Brazil reservation zoo? Peter, I don't know, but I've never been to South America. Daniel, I don't know Portuguese. Graham, maybe they understand English, the highly concentrated international language. Peter, I think it's time to go out and look what this government is all about. We walked out and saw a long ad that said to wait 2 hours more to change our lives. There was no info about other flights. All of them went to Canada's reservation park. I went to ask an agent to know all about the plan. Graham, hey, Agent, I saw that flyer, but I wonder if we could go to Brazil instead. Agent, Brazil, there's not. And we don't even know if there's even a reservation zone. To Agent, there has been a lot of speculation lately, but no. Agent, nothing is sure, so we don't even risk our scouts, 'cause Canada is all we've got. Graham, thanks Agent. Agent, I'm glad you made the right decision, to unite the Canadian dream. We left and went to our room. There was nothing we could do to stop all of this. Graham, and you Peter, why were you in Brownsville, while you could go to Canada? Peter, I don't want to be a government pet, I want to be a human. Daniel, maybe there's other ways to go down there to Brazil, maybe I don't know. Graham, maybe we can jack the plane? Like 9/11. Peter quoted, this seems crazy. First a pirate adventure and later a terrorist one. I don't even know if we even can. Daniel, you just think like a terrorist, after all this is Flight 11-9. Graham quoted, it's time to make a plan. We worked and devised theories, researched the physics, and the math involved of all of our possible events, until someone knocked, and it was just the agent to give us our meal. We worked harder than a grounded Harvard student. We just had to do the right thing in the right place. Daniel, maybe this is not worth it, maybe it cannot be as you say, maybe. Peter, we're stronger than ever, and this is for all the people that have passed away when young. Graham, okay, this is the plan, we board the plane with no bombs, no nothing. Later when we are in the border in plain air we bust the plane, destroy location stuff and GPS, you and Peter keep the hostages calmed, we make the calls and threaten to kill them if they want to gain autopilot functions. We fly to Rio de Janeiro and look more down for some signs of survivors or D-class in Brazil. We find it and park that plane and let them go back to Canada. And if not, we'll park the plane anyways and let them go back to Canada unharmed. Daniel, I'm down. Peter, me too. After 1 hour and 60 minutes later, everyone was ready to board that plane, the plane that probably will never come back. They let us on, everything goes right to the plan, protocols of security, and all goes right. We fly to Canada, and we're on air. Once near the border we all go to the bathroom and put on our masks, grab stuff from the bathroom, go to the kitchen and food supply areas and grab knives. Near there we go to the pilot and it all begins. Graham, put the plane on autopilot, now. Pilot, okay sir, just let not kill me. Peter and Daniel put the other pilot near the door. Daniel locked the door. The pilots did as we said. Daniel quoted, if someone does something none is going out of here alive, he told the pilots. Graham, this is harder than I expected. The plane was just going up and down, up and down. Pilot, here is this button, just keep it up, and this other keep it down. The pilot was giving him instructions and me, and the boys just turned around and were flying to Brazil. Secretary, what's going down in there? Daniel whispered, tell her that it's the turbulence. Pistol spoke through the microphone, it's just some minor effects on the east wind turbulence and technical stuff. Daniel whispered, turn on the microphone. We were flying all right and everything was going as planned. We were just passing out of Florida when the pilots couldn't hold it anymore. They screamed and tried to punch us. The plane went upside down, down there. Daniel, shut up, you all, stay calmed. Secretary, what it's taking so long? A moment, why are you not calmed? The micro was on. The pilot said we're hostages and screamed. Everything went south, the pilots opened the doors and ran, Daniel punched the other pilot in there and the pilot punched him. Knives flew and people flew to the ground, screaming, and Peter went to the middle of the plane. Peter, we're not terrorists, we're people. He took off his mask and so did Daniel. Peter, we just want to go to Brazil and let you go back to Canada and none is getting hurt. People calmed and sat back after that, when the plane started to fly weirdly, like reversing. The pilots took over the pilot cabin again, and we were hostages. Daniel busted the door out open, and now there was no more door. The pilots threatened to injure me, but Daniel punched one pilot as Peter punched the other. I took back over and punched them until they fainted. Daniel and Peter took the pilots and imprisoned them in the bathroom. Peter, don't worry, they will be fine to fly you back. All the people didn't believe it, they thought it was a prank. They felt so confident anyway. 2 hours on flight, and now we're passing by the French Guianas. When something appears in the radar, it was 2 jets armed with bombs and ammunition for a century. I sped up the pace so hard that even the pilots in the back felt it back. The pilots, what's going down there? The plane flew and the missiles just flew so close that even Peter worried about a few. Graham, Peter, it's okay, look, now we're in Brazil, we just have to find a runway and dodge the missiles. Peter, I know geography, and there's an airport in the city of Belém here near then. Graham, we're going to search for Sofia, starting in Rio. Peter, but why? Daniel, it's his heart telling him things. Peter, please, we're gonna die, look at the missiles. Graham, I have faith, there's hostages in here. G quoted, them missiles are just a prank. Peter, thanks man. Peter went to the middle of the plane as the pilots screamed like girls. Peter, everything is gonna be okay, it's just that your government is not cheap about entertainment. People were more tranquilized than they had ever been in their lives. Peter, thank you Graham, he said, closing one of his eyes. Graham, I'm lowering the plane down, look for runaways down there. Daniel, it's just hot here. Graham, welcome to Rio. Peter, it's about here on the radar, I think. Daniel, how do you know? Peter, I went to the World Cup 2014 of soccer. The plane flew and the jets disappeared. Graham, here it is, the runaway, bring the pilots fast. The pilots came with Daniel and Peter, and they collaborated a bit, not at all. The plane was lowering and I was sweating. The pilots punched Peter and Daniel, and took over the cabin again. The plane just landed very badly, damaging the wings and wheels and the southeast hemisphere. It stopped and the pilots punched me. The people watched very entertained as Daniel took over and punched the 2 of them. We told the pilots how to open the door, and they didn't tell us, so we started punching all of the buttons and the motor just got busted. The pilot, okay, just it's that red one. We pressed the one and nothing happened more than an alarm pitching and saying emergency. We just kept putting out buttons until the other pilot just pressed the right one. The pilot said, this is not what they pay me for. The doors opened and we jumped, not what we were waiting for, but at least there wasn't some psycho trying to kill us. It hurted, but we're alive. The story is over. But out of nowhere appearing an helicopter and started to shot at us, really real now. We had no choice but to run far away than expected. There were grenades, missiles and shots everywhere that we barely made it to the terminal. There was an underground subway, and we took shelter in there. Wanna know what happens in Brazil? And if he finally finds her or the cure, the new friends and loses, all involving an absolute dictator and not knowing Portuguese. Buy the whole book in the description.